margin was 5.5%. This was a low point in Huawei's history. However, we have made intensive R&D investments, and given that and the declining net profit, our operating cash flow dropped to 17.8 billion RMB. By the end of 2022, our cash reserves were 176.3 billion RMB, which was sufficient to support our business operations and risk management. All in all, we still faced operational pressure in 2022, but our financial results were in line with forecast, and we maintained a solid financial position. With this slide, I would like to touch upon the performance by the different product-based segment. First of all, the ICT infrastructure, it grew steadily and its revenue reached 354 billion RMB. We continued to deploy green, simplified, and intelligent ICT infrastructure and platform to help industries go digital. Secondly, our consumer business generated 214.5 billion RMB in revenue, and our Harmony OS ecosystem is developing. This is what we are looking forward to. Our cloud business grew very rapidly in 2022, securing 45.3 billion RMB in revenue. Huawei Cloud has deployed 29 regions, gradually becoming the preferred choice among industry customers like finance and manufacturing. In addition, digital power is now expediting industries and global customers to go green and low carbon, generating 50.8 billion RMB in revenue. Our IaaS business, leveraging the technology know-how amassed in ICT, has launched 7 intelligent automotive solutions. We focused on becoming the added-on component provider for intelligent vehicles. So this is the overview of the business portfolio. To go digital, enterprises need to benefit from the synergy between devices, edge, networks, and cloud. Huawei Cloud, leveraging Huawei's in-depth ICT expertise, implements the everything-as-a-service strategy. We are gradually incorporating in Huawei Cloud services the technology, tools, and expertise we've built up throughout our own digital transformation, as well as the development tools we used for the rest of the world to use. Currently, as I said, that Huawei Cloud has deployed 29 regions, but in addition to that, Huawei Cloud has also deployed 78 AZs, and together they provide services to customers across 170 countries and regions. Our goal for Huawei Cloud is to attract over 1 million partners, 10 million developers, and 10 million enterprise customers. We are working hard to become the cloud foundation and enabler for enterprises going digital. To better understand the needs of different industries, we have established industry-focused teams such as mining, government services, electric power, finance, and transportation, including airports, rails, roads, waterways, and ports, to facilitate digital and intelligent transformation across the industries. Our AI models helped the mining customers greatly shorten the development cycle. And with these solutions, we enable the miners to code via drag and drop. For the finance customers, our digital solutions help them shorten the disbursement process of consumer credit from 2 weeks to 3 minutes. On top of this, Huawei is actively contributing to digital transformation standards for industries. Working with industry organizations and experts, we have helped develop more than 100 digital transformation standards for smart cities, finance, electric power, highways, aviation, healthcare, and the likes. Let me give you a specific example. You may have read about this in the newspaper. It's the Tianjin Port project that we have worked on. We collaborated with the customer and used the AI software, applying operations research to the port scheduling and identify the globally optimal solution from tens of millions of variables. Planning time went from 24 hours to 10 minutes, and plans can now dynamically be adjusted within minutes or even seconds. As of the end of 2022, Huawei Digital Power has helped our customers generate 695.1 billion kilowatt-hours of green power and reduce energy consumption by 19.5 billion kilowatt-hours, roughly the same as planting 470 million trees. In Gonghe County of China's Qinghai Province, we worked with Huanghe Hydropower Development to build the world's largest renewable energy base for wind, solar, and hydropower. In this project, more than 7 million PV modules were deployed for the 2.2 gigawatt PV power station, which can produce nearly 5 billion kilowatt-hours of clean electricity every year. In this project, we provided digital transformation solutions, which helped the customer improve O&M efficiency by over 50%. So far, I have covered the business performance of the company and also the overview by business portfolio. Next, let me talk about the balance sheet and also the cash that we have maintained. By the end of 2022, our liability ratio was 58.9%, and we continue to maintain a robust capital structure. By year-end, our net cash balance was 176.3 billion RMB. We have sufficient cash reserves. In 2022, Huawei's balance of total assets reached about 1 trillion RMB, which was largely composed of cash, short-term investments, which are very liquid, and operating assets. They are testaments to the financial resilience that we have maintained. Let me continue with the R&D spend. As you see, R&D investments have been maintained at a very high level. In 2022, our R&D spend was 161.5 billion RMB, 25.1% of the company's annual revenue, reaching a record high. The continuous and heavy R&D investment made it possible for us to complete component replacement, board redesign, and the OS and database development. Therefore, it was the R&D intensity and the massive scale of R&D investment that helped us achieve our goals for robust business operations. I would like to end my presentation with a poem. Branches bowed by winter snow will raise their heads in spring and grow. In times of pressure, we press on with confidence. Thank you.
If I can ask you to remain on stage, and I'll also invite back on to join us Eric Xu, and also Ken Wang, our interpreter for today, because that completes the first part of this event. And we now, as I indicated earlier, have around about an hour for questions and answers. Some familiar ground rules, please, before we start. For those of you who want to ask a question, please raise your hand and wait until I select you, and wait until the microphone reaches you. And then if you could, give us your name and your organization so that everyone knows who's speaking and who's asking the question. Also, it's important that the questions are in English or Chinese for the sake of our interpreter. And finally, one question per journalist, please, so that we can get through as many questions as possible in the time that we have available. Our interpreter will, of course, repeat the questions, translate them, and do the same for the answers. So let's start. Any volunteers for the first question, please? We will go to, there's a gentleman about halfway back in a grey top in the mid on the left here.
谢谢。央视财经记者王建波提问啊，我想问孟总，有一个问题就是，自回国之后啊，1年半的时间里，您的工作、包括生活、包括心态，都出现了一些怎样的一个变化？ 另外呢，从刚才咱们的数据中可以看到，除了收入以外，咱们的利润还有现金流等数据的话都是出现下滑的。这背后是什么原因呢？最后一个就是怎么理解您刚才所说的华为的财务状况持续稳健？谢谢。
From CCTV, this is a question to Ms. Meng. It's been almost 18 months since you came back to China. What have been the changes in your work, life, and mindset? In addition, in your presentation, we noticed that Huawei's profits and cash flow both dropped in 2022. What were the reasons behind? And how should we understand it when you said the company's financial position continued to be stable?
谢谢你的提问首先我来回答您的第一个问题。那在去年，在类似的问题中，我谈到去年我的主要状态是学习。那在过去的这一年，我和我的团队，深刻地去理解客户的需求，积极去寻找解决方案，助力客户的数字化转型。
Thank you for the questions. Let me take the first question first. I remember last year I said a key word for me was learning. That's true throughout 2022. Over the last 12 months, together with my team, we worked to deeply understand customer requirements and look for and deliver solutions to help our customers digitally transform themselves.
知不足而奋进，望远三而力行。如果要用一个词来形容的话，我想今年的主题词应该是信心。
We start to work hard once we know the areas we need to improve. We start to take on the journey once we know where the objectives are. I think for the last year, another keyword I want to use is confidence.
只要我们持续奋斗，永不言败，我相信我们付出的每一分努力，我们所经过的每一寸光阴都不会浪费。我们不一定能够成功，但是我们向死而生，怎么能够不成仁？
As long as we keep working hard, as long as we don't lose faith, I believe all the time and efforts we put in won't go wasted. We might not be successful in the end, but being placed in a fatal impasse, we have no other option but going all out with all hands on deck. Then why we can't fight a way out?
关于您提到的第二个问题，华为的这个财务的盈利情况下滑的原因，我在刚才的报告中已经提到了。 主要是我们整体的经营利润在下滑，以及我们与此同时的研发投入在加大，这是造成我们整个经营盈利能力下滑的一个主要原因。
As for the second question regarding the decline of Huawei's profits last year, I already mentioned in my presentation. It's largely attributed to the decline of our operating profits as well as the increase of our investment in R&D.
关于您提到的第三个问题，怎么去看待财务稳健？那站在我的角度，我认为可以从两个方面来诠释这个问题。
Regarding the third question you raised, how to understand the notion of a financial position continuing to be stable? From my perspective, I think there could be two areas for us to help to understand this statement.
首先，我们的客户还有我们的合作伙伴依然和我们在一起，在这条长征路上继续前行。相信华为，选择华为。
First, our customers, our partners are still with us on this long journey. They continue to believe in Huawei. They continue to choose Huawei.
其次，到去年年末，我们手上的净现金是1763亿。 按我们现在的商业计划是足够能够支撑公司未来几年的投入。
Second, our net cash position by the end of last year was 176.3 billion RMB. Based on the current business plans we map out for the future, that cash position is sufficient to support our ongoing operations.
总而言之，我们依然存在，还将继续存在， 这就是财务稳健的最好诠释。
Overall, we continue to exist. That is the best interpretation about financial robustness.
Thank you very much. Let's have another question. I'll jump across this side and go to the gentleman 3 back on the edge there.
Hi, David Curtin from Reuters. Eric, there were remarks from you reported recently about Huawei having made breakthroughs in EDA tools for chips of 14 nanometers and above. Can you explain a little bit what that means for Huawei's business lines, and can you tell us any more about other progress you've made in overcoming the issues of chips? Thank you.
路透社记者，Eric 最近有一篇您的演讲曝光，表示华为在14纳米及以上芯片的 EDA 方面取得了突破。您能告诉我这一突破对于华为各条业务线意味着什么吗？另外，华为围绕芯片的技术还取得了哪些其他的进展？
感谢您的问题。这个我确实讲过这个话。
Thank you for the question. Indeed, I made those remarks.
但是我要澄清一下，不是华为解决了14纳米以上的 EDA 根据问题，是华为和产业的这个伙伴一起解决了14纳米以上的 EDA 根据的国产化问题。
But I want to clarify a little bit. It is not Huawei that resolved the EDA tools for chip design at 14 nanometer and above, but rather Huawei and its partners working together to deliver domestic EDA tools needed for the chip design at 14 nanometer and above.
解决14纳米以上的这个 EDA 根据的这个国产化，对我们各个业务并不意味着啥，它只意味着这个在中国未来任何芯片设计公司，它可以用国产化的 EDA 根据来设计芯片。
Delivering domestic EDA tools for 14 nanometer and above, I think it means very little for Huawei's own business lines. It only means that the chip design companies in China can have China's own EDA design tools as they design chips in the future.
当然，讲到半导体领域来讲，讲到芯片领域来讲，这是这几年全世界最热门的话题。
Speaking of a semiconductor or chips, I think this is probably the most heated discussed question or topic over the last couple of years on a global basis.
对于中国半导体产业界来讲，这些年收到的是不断的制裁、制裁再制裁。
For China's semiconductor industry, what we have seen over the last couple of years is a continuous stream of sanctions.
我想中国的半导体产业界也不会坐以待毙，肯定会自救、自立、自强。
And I believe China's semiconductor industry will not sit idly by, but take efforts to take efforts around self-saving, self-strengthening, and self-reliance.
对华为来讲，我们支持中国半导体产业界所有的这个自救、自立、自强的这个相关活动。
For Huawei, we will render our support to all such self-saving, self-strengthening, and self-reliance efforts of the Chinese semiconductor industry.
我相信中国半导体产业会在制裁中重生，真正实现自立自强。
And I believe China's semiconductor industry would get reborn under such sanctions and realize a very strong and self-reliant industry in China.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another question here in the room. I'll come to the gentleman in the glasses in the second row, I think, here.
Hi, this is Jonathan Cheng with the Wall Street Journal. I have a question for Ms. Meng. We'd just like to know whether or not you've had any reassurances from the U.S. government, whether that be the Justice Department or otherwise about whether or not you would be able to travel to the US or any other country with which the US has an extradition treaty. If you haven't gotten such assurances, we'd just like to know whether or not we should be concerned about your ability to do business around the world on behalf of Huawei. Thank you.
华尔街日报记者提问，这个问题提给孟女士，想问一下，您这边是否从美国政府、美国的司法部获得了这种确信，说在向美国的出差或者是别国的这个出差不会受到影响？如果没有这样的一个确信的话，是否会影响您作为华为的高管支持华为全球业务的能力？谢谢。
那谢谢你的提问。随着法官批准检方的撤诉申请，我的个人案件已经画上了一个句号。
Thank you for the question. As prosecutor's request of dismissing the indictment was approved by the judge, the personal case of mine was already over.
华为服务了全球170多个国家。那我们的每一位员工都会根据工作的需要以及工作的计划来安排全球旅行和出差。
Huawei provides services in more than 170 countries and regions around the world. Every Huawei employee would arrange their global travel based on work requirements and plans.
我和我的团队都会在工作中忠实履职。服务于我们的业务，服务于我们的客户。谢谢。
For me and my team, we will faithfully fulfill our responsibilities at work, providing services to our businesses and our customers. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question, please. I will go. Sorry, I've picked 3 men so far. I'll pick the lady in pink on the left-hand side here. 3 or 4 back, I think.
谢谢新华社记者提问。华为一直保持了高强度的研发投入，我想请问一下，华为在先进技术领域还有哪些的技术布局？另外呢，就是华为对于5.5G 的落地有怎样的期待？现在在6G 的研发当中有怎样的成果？未来华为将在这个6G 的研发当中呢，扮演怎样的全球化的角色？谢谢。
From Xinhua News Agency. Huawei has maintained a high level of R&D investment as a percentage of revenue. Currently, what advanced technologies you have in the R&D pipeline? What expectations Huawei has regarding the deployment of 5.5G? And what are the progresses and the results in relation to Huawei's 6G innovation? What kind of a role Huawei is expected to play in 6G on a global basis?
华为在所有涉足的业务领域，都在面向未来进行继续研究和开发。要在这里讲清楚，可能要讲几天。
In all the business domains that we work on, we have been working on technology research and development. To give you a very clear picture of those, I think it may take several days.
但面向通信领域呢，我们重点在推进这个5.5G、F5.5G 和 N5.5G， 就是网络5.5G。
But if you narrow that down to the communications industry, our focuses include 5.5G for mobile communications, and then F5.5G and N5.5G.
第一个方向呢，我们跟全球的同行去构筑各个5.5G 的标准。
First, on 5.5G, we work together with the industry peers to define standards for 5.5G.
然后攻克我们希望5.5G 达到目标的所有的技术。
And we also work together to try to overcome technologies that are needed to support use cases of 5.5G.
然后开发5.5G 的产品，并希望在2025年左右开始在全球部署。
We also work on the development of 5.5G products with the hope that these products can start to get deployed around the world starting from 2025.
我们希望通过5.5G 的这个各项技术和 和产品的部署，能够让消费者在移动场景下、在家庭场景下以及在办公场景下的整个体验能够有大幅的提升。
With this 5.5G technologies and the products, we hope consumers can have a much better experiences in mobile, home, and office environments.
同时，我们也希望所有的5.5G 能够更加促进各行各业的数字化、智能化。
At the same time, we hope all these 5.5G technologies can better promote digital and intelligent transformation of various industries.
谈到6G 呢，就是又回到我当时讲5G 的同样的话题。
Then speaking of 6G, I think it comes back to the same topic as the time when I talk about 5G.
首先，6G 是什么？现在谁也不知道，它只是个概念，只是我们产业界的一个目标。
First, what is a 6G? I think nobody can give a clear answer right now. It's just a concept or an objective for the mobile communications industry.
在5G 的时候，我也讲过同样的一句话。
At the time when 5G was about to come, I said the same thing.
所以，华为现在跟整个产业界一起，在定义6G 是什么。
Therefore, right now, Huawei is working with the entire industry trying to define what a 6G is.
当然，我们现在也在围绕6G 有可能要用到的技术，在进行研究、进行验证。
Of course, we are doing research and verification of technologies that might be used for the future 6G.
但是6G 何时到来不清楚。按照移动通信的规律的话，应该在2030年以后。
But when 6G would come is not yet clear. But based on the history of mobile communications, we estimate 6G would be available after the year of 2030.
如果我们消费者的这个应用需求没有大的需求提升，然后我们各行各业对移动通信网络的需求没有大的提升，也许6G 就不要了。
If the consumer's demand for applications do not improve or change in a very big way, if the industry's demand for mobile communication networks do not change or improve substantially, maybe 6G may not be needed.
因为没有需求，就没有人愿意投资，因为没有回报，所以说，也许我们长期生活在5.5G 的年代也是正常的。
Because once there is no demand, no companies would be willing to make the investment for the lack of a compelling return on investment. If that's the case, it could be very natural for our industry, for society to stay in the future 5.5G era.
但是全球产业界，特别是运营商，我们设备供应商，还是希望6G 到来，否则我们没有增长了，然后你们都不买手机了。
But the whole industry, especially telecom operators and equipment vendors such as ourselves, all hope that a 6G would arrive someday. Well, otherwise, there would be no growth potential for our industry because consumers like yourselves won't be buying new phones.
你看，现在就是大家换手机，从原来周期是2年，现在过渡到3年，所以中国的消费电子，尤其是手机需求大幅下降，全球大幅下降。所以说，大家还是希望有个6G 到来，但是能不能到来，何时到来，还要到2030年以后，也许你能够得到回答。
The duration for consumers to change their mobile phones used to be 2 years, and now it's 3 years. We have seen significant drop of demand for consumer electronics, especially smartphones in China, and that's also the case on a global basis. Therefore, we truly hope that 6G can come, even though we are not clear whether that will come and when that will come. Maybe 6G will only come after 2030.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mentioned we were joined by a number of journalists online, so let's take an online question if we can. Can I go to, there's only 2 with their hands up, I think. Nikkei Asia, Laoli Lee.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can indeed, yes.
Thank you very much for taking my question. which will be focused on the supply chain management related, especially on the semiconductor front. Could you please elaborate on your details of your progress on the chips and component replacement? And can you share a little bit light on your current inventory level with us? Thank you.
来自日经亚洲的记者，感谢给这个机会提问。想问一下，华为在供应链管理的总体策略是什么？特别是跟半导体相关。另外，现在在芯片和器件的替代方面进展如何？谢谢。
我们的供应链战略，一个是确保业务的连续，确保我们的客户的承诺能够得到交付。
For our supply chain strategy, first, we work to ensure business continuity. We also work to ensure we can deliver on our promises and commitments to customers.
其实华为管理供应连续不是近几年才开始，而是从2012年我们就在着手。
Managing supply chain for Huawei is not an effort we just started from recent years. That effort actually started since 2012.
就是我们在2012年我们就有一个备胎计划，我们在2019年被美国制裁以后才被胡廷波暴露出来的。
Actually, we had this spare tire or so-called Plan B program starting from 2012. And that program only got exposed with the open letter of Teresa He after Huawei was placed under U.S. sanctions in 2019.
我们希望我们的所有产品不依赖单一国家，不依赖单一供应商，而且能够应对更恶劣情况下还能生存。
Our hope is for all of Huawei products, we would not rely on any single country or any single supplier, and we would have the ability to continue to supply to the market even under very challenging circumstances.
所以说，从2012年开始到现在，我们不但在为了我们业务的这个连续，为了我们能够确保跟客户的稳定供应，我们做了大量的器件替代，大量的单板开发，其实是一个累计的结果。
Since 2012 till today, we have been working non-stop on business continuity and on a stable supply to our customers. And as part of that effort, we have been working on component replacement and circuit board development. That's actually a cumulative process.
未来努力的方向还是确保我们能够连续供应，确保我们能够持续能够交付对客户的承诺。
As for our future directions, it remains the same, which is to ensure supply continuity and ensure our sustainability of delivering our promises to customers.
Thank you.
Okay, back in the room. Let's take gentleman, I'm going to say tank top, but the vest top here.
谢谢财新的记者，我想问一下，今年在财报的发布中，我们看到整个的一个展示方式发生了一个变化，从原来3个 BG， 现在出现了很多的新的业务，比如说第一次展示了车业务，还有数字能源等业务。我想问一下，这个变更背后的考虑是什么样的？以及华为对于这些业务过去几年的这个投入，现在的这些收入是怎样的一个评价？另一个问题是说，我们已经看到2022年华为在常态化制裁下已经收入企稳。那么对于2023年，我们对于收入以及尤其是在利润方面有什么样的一个预期？谢谢。
From caixin.com, from your financial results presentation, I noticed the structure and the way you state and present your business results is slightly different this year. You used to have 3 business groups, and now you are presenting the numbers by a number of new businesses. For example, it's the first time we see the numbers for your intelligent automotive solutions business and also for digital power business. So what are the considerations behind such a change, and how Huawei would evaluate the current development and the performance of these new businesses? At the same time, in 2022, Huawei's revenue got stabilized. And what are the expectations for Huawei in 2023 for your revenue and profits? Thank you.
其实我刚才在我的演讲里面已经讲到了这一点。我们这几年一直在优化我们的产业组合，然后来进一步提升我们整个发展的韧性，构筑一个强韧性的产业组合。
I think I somewhat touched upon this in my presentation. Over the last couple of years, we have been working to optimize our business portfolio with the hope to build a resilient portfolio of businesses.
所以说，我们把原来隐含在 ICT 基础设施里面的数字能源啊、华为云单列出来了，也是希望它这个能够面向未来能够更好的发展。
The digital power business and the Huawei cloud business used to be part of the ICT infrastructure in our financial reporting. And now they are separately listed. And our hope is for these businesses to enjoy better development.
应该欣喜地看到，经过这几年的努力，我们产业的组合更加这个科学，而且韧性得到了进一步的加强，能够更好地支持我们面向未来的生存和发展。
We are very pleased to see that with our efforts over the last couple of years, this business portfolio becomes more rational and becomes more resilient, laying the groundwork for continued survival and development for Huawei.
2023年对于华为当然还是非常挑战。我不是说了我们要在暴风雨中奔跑吗
？2023 will continue to be very challenging for Huawei. As I said in my presentation, we will continue to keep racing ahead amidst the storm.
我们面临的不确定性，面临的非市场因素越来越多。
We are faced with more and more uncertainties and non-market factors.
但是我们希望通过我们的努力，在2023年相比2022年能够有所增长，无论是收入和利润。但是不确定性太多。
But we hope through our own efforts, we can somewhat grow our revenue and profits in 2023 in comparison to 2022. But still, there are too many uncertainties along the way.
具体结果，我想在明年的今天你能看到。
And certainly, you're gonna see those results the same time next year.
Thank you.
Very good. In the room, there's a lady in white, I think, with glasses, just over here.
谢谢管理层，南华早报记者提问。我想请问一下，华为手机芯片这一块的国产化进程现在是进行到哪一步？然后另外想问一下，华为手机什么时候可以重新搭载就是5G 芯片，以及什么时候开始重新生产5G 的手机？另外就是想了解一下终端业务接下来的一些新的计划。谢谢。
From South China Morning Post, I want to ask the progress of Huawei using domestic chips to replace the other mobile chips used in Huawei phones, and when Huawei phones will be equipped with the 5G chipsets, and why Huawei can start the manufacturing of 5G phones again, and what are the plans for Huawei regarding its device or consumer business moving forward?
大家都清楚，我们的手机业务是被制裁影响最大的业务，从原来全球第2，或者说余承东经常吹牛的第1，现在到了20.
We all know the mobile phone business of Huawei has been hit the hardest under the sanctions. We used to be number 2 on a global basis, or according to Richard Yu, we were number 1. But now we are in the category of others.
所以这个现在美国商务部只许可了这个4G 手机芯片，所以说我们只能造4G 手机。
The U.S. Commerce Department only grants licenses for 4G mobile chips. As a result, we can only produce 4G phones.
由于我们在摄像、在折叠屏、在这个体验各方面不断的这个努力、不断的进步，对吧？这个看来还是有人愿意买这种4G 手机。
And because of our efforts, and because of the progress we have made in camera, in foldable screen, and in user experience, still there are consumers that are willing to buy Huawei's 4G phones.
你看我这个是一个 Mate X3，是一个4G 手机，但是折叠屏能够做到跟普通手机一样的质量。对。
Take this Mate X3 for example. It's a 4G phone, but even it's a foldable screen phone, the weight of it is similar to a regular smartphone.
如果要期待买到华为的5G 手机，要等待美国商务部的批准。它能够许可5G 芯片给我们，我们就能生产5G 手机，而且还能做成折叠屏。
If consumers want to buy 5G phones from Huawei, we may need to have the approval from the U.S. Commerce Department. If they can grant licenses for 5G mobile chips, and then we might be in a position to produce 5G phones, and actually 5G phones with foldable screens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question in here. Someone frantically putting their hand in the air on the left-hand side here, at the end of the row.
你好，我是那个南方日报的记者。我想提问一下，就是关于华为的经营，确实是最近这些年面临比较大的挑战。那这个是否对华为的招聘有影响？华为也曾经提出要吸引这个全世界世界级的人才。那目前华为在人才引进和培养方面有没有什么思考和计划？谢谢。
From Nanfang Daily. Huawei's business operation is under significant challenges, whether that would affect Huawei's recruitment. And Huawei once said the company aspires to attract world-class talent from around the world. So what are your thoughts and plans in relation to talent acquisition and development?
确实是这样的。华为的经营承受了非常大的压力。这个压力来自于刚才徐总提到的终端的收入规模在下滑，也来自于整个全世界大宗商品的价格的上涨，同时也来自于我们自身为了业务连续性所加强的研发投入。
Indeed, we are under significant pressure from operation perspective, and that pressure comes from, as Eric mentioned just now, continued decline of our revenue from the device business, increase of commodity prices, and also more investment in R&D as part of our business continuity program.
即便这种压力的长期存在，我相信我们也不会改变持续去吸引全球最顶尖人才的业务策略。
Even with such pressure, I believe we will not change our business strategy of bringing on board the brightest minds of the world.
我们期待着更多的志同道合的顶尖人物和科学家来加入华为，和我们一起来攀登珠峰，和我们一起攻坚克难。
We hope there will be more and more like-minded, bright minds and scientists that can join Huawei on our path toward the Mount Everest and to address the challenges and the difficulties along the way.
那谈到人才策略，我想另外再多说一点，在华为公司而言，在公司内部我们不为学历论，只要与岗位所适配的员工，就是我们所认为的优秀员工。我们需要有大量具有匠心精神的员工，和我们一起守住公司的基业。
Speaking of Huawei's talent strategy, I want to say something more. Within Huawei, we are not taking the approach, well, only the education background of our people matters. Any employee that can match the requirements of his or her job is an outstanding employee for Huawei. And we do need a large number of employees with a spirit of craftsmanship to safeguard the long-term operation and the prosperity of the company.
总而言之，对华为而言，无论是哪类人才，只要足够优秀、足够专业、足够踏实，就是我们所需要的优秀员工。与此同时，无论公司的经营承受什么样的压力，我们都会持续保持开放的态度，吸引更多的优秀人才加入华为。
Overall, no matter what is the type or category of individuals, as long as they are outstanding, they are professional, and they are down to earth, they would be the outstanding employees for Huawei. At the same time, regardless of the operational and the business pressure we might fall under, we will continue to remain open-minded in bringing on board outstanding people to join Huawei.
Thank you. Questions here? Gentlemen here, just, sorry, 4 in and 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 back. Yes, the dark hair. You, sir. Waiting for the microphone across here. Do you want to stand up? Actually, just makes it easier if you're going to ask a question. Yeah, gentleman here. Is it a gentleman? I'm assuming it's a gentleman. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
I'm 読売新聞想笑。
日本读卖新闻提问，就是我们向孟女士提问，然后您是4月1号即将就任这个轮值董事长，然后您对之后的这个就是就任轮值董事长之后的是怎么打算的？然后另外是在鉴于18到20年之间您在加拿大这样的一个不幸的经历，然后现在有一部分投资人可能会认为您就任轮值董事长之后呢，美国对华为的管制会加剧，然后对此您是怎么看待的？谢谢。
This is a question to Ms. Mom. Starting from April the 1st, you are going to take your turn as the rotating chairman of Huawei. What are your plans after taking this role? At the same time, due to your unfortunate experience in Canada between 2018 and 2020, some investors are concerned that this may lead to strengthened restrictions from the US government on Huawei. And what's your thoughts and what Huawei would do to address it?
谢谢你的提问。首先，我想说明的是，华为公司的治理章程已经明确了，我们是体制的接班、制度的接班，不是某个个人的接班。整个公司是在集体领导下奋勇前行的。公司是不会把我们整个集体的命运系于某个个人的身上。对我们而言，我们非常明确的约定了，是一张蓝图绘到底。
Thank you for the question. As clearly stipulated in Huawei's corporate governance charter, the succession at Huawei is the succession with the systems, with the institutions. It's not the succession of individuals. The company is moving forward under collective leadership. The company will not place its future on any single individual. Therefore, for Huawei, it's the same blueprint that gets drafted throughout.
公司的治理规则已经明确约定了轮值董事长的职责，而且也明确约定了在当值期间的工作日历和工作沙盘。我和其他的2位轮值董事长是一样的，我们都会按照治理章程的约定，忠实履责，例行开展工作。 同时我们的工作也受到了公司董事会、常务董事会以及监事会的监督。
The governance rules of the company already clearly spell out the roles and the responsibilities of the rotating chair, as well as his or her working calendar and the priorities. So for me, like the other two rotating chairs, I will follow what's written in the corporate governance charter, fulfill my responsibilities faithfully, and conduct my work on a routine basis. At the same time, the responsibilities and the rights of the rotating chair are also subject to the checks and the balances of the company's board of directors and its standing committee, as well as subject to the oversight of the supervisory board.
作为一家企业，我们没有办法去改变地缘政治，我们也没有办法去改变我们的生存环境。我们只有努力去适应这个环境，尽最大的努力做好自己。谢谢。
As a company, we don't have the capacity to change geopolitics or the environment we live in. The only thing we can do is to adapt to that environment and do everything we can within our capacity, trying to deliver what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? I'll take the lady on the far left.
您好，搜狐科技记者提问。想问一下徐总一个关于汽车业务的问题。最近那个 ITO 的宣传物料变更为了华为问界，有人认为华为这是想亲自下场造车了，不知道华为公司怎么样看待这样的言论？然后包括未来华为汽车业务的3种模式将如何进行发展，是否会更聚焦于智选车？谢谢。
From Sohu.com, I have a question to Eric Xu regarding Huawei's vehicle business. Recently, we've noticed that the marketing collaterals for ITO got changed to Huawei Wenjie. Some people interpret it as Huawei's intent to make its own cars. What's your comment? And what are the future plans for Huawei regarding its various parts of the automobile business? Whether the company would focus more on the Huawei Smart Selected Car business?
现在来回答这个问题，就比我原来想象的简单得多了。因为我们上午恰好发布了 EMT 决议，华为不造车的这个决议。 陈兄发布啊。
I think answering this question right now is much easier than what I previously thought, because we just released the MT resolution around Huawei not making cars. Actually, that's the second time we issued that resolution.
但大家呢很关注是我们这个决议的有效期只有5年，这个5年呢不是我们只5年。 而是我们所有文件的有效期最长只的5年，所以说3年快到了，我们再发一个5年，5年快到了，我们再发个5年。
Some people might be concerned about the vitality of that resolution, saying this resolution only covers 5 years. As a matter of fact, this 5 years period is not only specific to the automobile business. All of Huawei's documents and the resolutions have a vitality period of 5 years maximum. So after the document is about to expire, we can actually reissue the resolution.
所以华为的战略没有变，我们不造车，我们帮助车企造好车，然后成为一个智能网联电动汽车的增量部件供应商。
Our strategy for this business is not changed. Huawei does not make its own cars. We help car makers to build better vehicles for the future. We position ourselves as a supplier of newly added components for intelligent, connected vehicles.
所以最近确实与你所说，我们有些部门或者有些个人或者有些合作伙伴在滥用华为的品牌。
Recently, as you said, some departments, some individuals, or some of our partners were abusing the Huawei brand.
这件事情本来一直在查处过程中。
We are actually in the process of finding out who is accountable.
华为经过30多年构筑的这个品牌，我们不会被随意被滥用。
The Huawei brand has been built over the last 30 plus years, and we will not allow our brand to be abused.
华为没有造车，也没有任何品牌的车。
Huawei does not make Huawei cars, and there is no any Huawei branded cars.
我们在这一次的这个文件里面，也对品牌的问题也进行了这个明确的要求，严禁华为品牌出现在任何这个汽车品牌前面，或者作为汽车品牌。
In the resolution we just released, we also had very clear requirements regarding the use of a Huawei brand. It is prohibited for Huawei brand to appear together with any car brand or appear on the exteriors of vehicles.
我们会对我们所有的这个旗舰店、销售店和宣传的物料进行清理和整顿。
We will take actions that will cover all the flagship stores, retail stores, as well as marketing collaterals to ensure this resolution gets executed.
使之回归到我们战略上来，回归到我们的定位上来。
And our strategy and our positioning will come back.
谢谢你这个问题。
And thank you for that question.
Thank you. Another question? The gentleman here.
谢谢。彭博社高远。任总在之前一个讲话里面讲到说，过去的3年，华为在这个重新设计了13000多个这个各种元器件和将近4000多个这个电路板。我想知道未来华为在自主替代这方面还需要去重新设计多少零部件？另外就是说，如果这个进程会不会影响到？因为我们知道现在华为的这个 R&D expense 已经很大了，那会不会影响到华为在其他一些更领先的技术上面的未来的投入？谢谢。
From Bloomberg. In one of his speeches, Mr. Ren said Huawei has already redesigned a total number of 13,000 parts and components and around 4,000 circuit boards. And how many parts and components Huawei would redesign in the future? And whether that effort would affect some of the businesses or technologies that Huawei is enjoying leadership right now, considering the massive R&D expenses the company already has.
第一点来讲呢，我澄清一下，我想我们认真讲的3年，可能他记错了，对吧？我认为应该是10年。我刚才讲了，我们从2012年到现在一直在做这件事情。
First, I want to clarify. Mr. Ren said that was done within 3 years. I think maybe he doesn't remember it correctly. I think it's at least 10 years. As I mentioned just now, we started such efforts since the year of 2012.
所以这个，但是呢，我们这项工作基本结束了，不会有你所说的还改来改去，再改来改去，基本结束了。
But that work right now is already done. We will not keep redesigning or redeveloping those components or boards.
所以我们讲过，刚才这个广州讲过，我们进入了一个制裁下的正常状态，就也意味着我们所有的研发是可以把所有精力聚焦在进一步的来提升我们产品的竞争力，进一步的来面向客户的需求来满足，来这个进一步的为客户创造价值。
As Sabrina mentioned just now, right now we already return to business as usual since the U.S. sanctions are part of the new normal right now. That also applies to our R&D efforts. All of our R&D teams right now will work on improving or continuously improving the product competitiveness and doing better in accommodating customer requirements and doing better in creating value for customers.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got time for just one more question, and I'm conscious we've only gone to our only online journalists on one occasion. So we'll go back and Gov Insider in Singapore. Do you want to ask your question, please?
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yep, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. Hi, I'm from Gulf Insider based in Singapore. So we know that Huawei has been investing heavily in R&D over the years, and beyond the Open Lab 3.0, which was just launched in Singapore this morning. Could you elaborate on some of the other efforts and investments that Huawei has had for innovation in this region? Thank you.
来自于新加坡联合早报。我们知道华为研发的投入很大，那我现在所处的也正是华为在新加坡的开放创新的实验室 Open Lab。所以我想问的问题就是华为在亚太这一块整个的投入的精力以及投资的情况，能不能介绍一下？谢谢。
很高兴能够看到这个您在这个新加坡的华为的 Open Lab。
I'm very pleased to see that you right now are in Huawei Singapore Open Lab.
我听说我们是刚刚升级到 Open Lab 3.0。
I heard we just got an upgrade to Open Lab 3.0.
我们的 Open Lab 不仅仅在新加坡，我们在全球很多国家都建立了 Open Lab。
As a matter of fact, not just in Singapore, we have set up open labs in many countries around the world.
这是我们为全球所有的合作伙伴、所有的客户提供的一个开放平台。
This is an open platform that that is made available to all of our customers and partners around the world.
以使得我们的合作伙伴和客户更好地利用华为所提供的技术和能力，来构筑面向各行各业的解决方案。
The idea is to help our partners and the customers to leverage Huawei technologies and the capabilities in developing competitive solutions for various industries.
我们非常欢迎我们的客户、我们的伙伴到 Open Lab 来，跟我们一起来共同探讨他们的需求，探讨解决方案，这就能够打造一个真正满足我们客户的需求的，能够解决客户问题的，能够给客户带来价值的解决方案。
We welcome all our partners as well as customers into this Open Lab facilities, and we also welcome joint discussions with Huawei around the requirements and the possible direction of a solution, so that we can truly deliver solutions that can address customer needs, that can address customer problems, and that can deliver value to customers.
我们面向亚太各个国家和我们所有的客户伙伴的承诺不会改变。
Huawei's commitment to various countries, customers, and partners in the APEC region will not change.
而且我们在亚太无论是研发还是其他方向上的投资还会增强。
And we will continue to strengthen our investment, including in R&D and other areas in the APEC region.
谢谢。
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that is all we've got time for today. I know there are other people wanting to ask questions. Apologies, but our hour is up. I just want to pass on sincere thanks to Mr. Xu and Ms. Meng, and also, of course, our interpreter, Ken Wang, and all those behind the scenes, and also to those of you who asked questions, and indeed those who didn't and attended today, either here or online. Thank you for coming along. And before you go, we would like to take this opportunity just to invite you to come back again for another upcoming event, and that's the Huawei Global Analyst Summit, which will be back here on April the 19th and 20th. Thank you very much, Mr. Xu.
Este viaje tiene un enorme simbolismo para nuestros países, dado que estamos celebrando el 50 aniversario del establecimiento de las relaciones diplomáticas bilaterales entre España y Chile. Es evidente que el mundo ha cambiado enormemente en estas 5 décadas y, por lo tanto, es una extraordinaria ocasión para renovar los vínculos de los últimos. Además, dejamos atrás la terrible pandemia de la COVID-19 y retomamos nuestra cooperación con todo su potencial. Durante la jornada de hoy he tenido la oportunidad de reunirme con las máximas autoridades de este país, con el presidente Xi Jinping, también con el primer ministro Li Qiang y con el presidente de la